Afrocentricity, or rather Pan-Africanism without Afrocentricity is a slogan. But in order to overcome the sloganizing by saying I'm for Pan-Africanism, you have to say I'm for an Afrocentric Pan-Africanism. And that way that allows us to use Afrocentricity as an organizing principle for Pan-Africanism. I see there is also a question from an old friend of mine from Paris, Mutu. So I'm glad to see he's on here. He says, thanks for your wonderful, what can Africans do to de-Europeanize or de-Arabize their spirituality and their minds? And I think this is a good question, Brother Mutu. We've tried everything we can. Well, part of it is, number one, to interrogate our own spiritual traditions. See, before you go trying to practice somebody else's spirituality, ask yourself, what did our people do? And the reason we don't ask ourselves, what did our people do? Or how did our people do it? The reason we don't ask these questions is because Europe has so inferiorized Africa in our own minds that we don't want to be identified with that, because they've said we were heathens, we were savages, we didn't know this, we were primitive. And so we never want to ask those questions. But I had a beautiful experience a few years ago. One of my students who had studied with me for a year, she decided that she wanted to go home to Nigeria. And when she went home, she did something that her mother did not expect. She said to her mother, "Mother, I want to know where is our family shrine? Where is the sacred place of our people? I want to go there." And she said her mother broke down and cried. And the mother later explained to her, "You know why I cried? I cried because you had gone away to, she'd been educated in Switzerland and in the United States. And so I just knew that when you came back home, you would have nothing to do with our culture and you would just, have gone into the European world. But now you come back and you ask for yourself. You ask, where is the place that our people see as sacred?" And the mother had taken her there and just broke down. It was powerful. It's the most powerful thing, because what has happened to most of us is that we have lost our minds. But the only way to regain our minds is to de-Arabize ourselves and to de-Europeanize ourselves by at least attaching ourselves to what we know. And I don't even tell people, you don't have to, people don't say you got to practice Catholicism the same way they practiced it in the 12th century. People don't say you practice Islam the way they practiced it in the 14th century. They say, you know what? If you're going to look at your African tradition, hey, there are ways you can look at it. There are all kinds of things you don't have to accept in any religion, in any quest. If you're religious, you make these choices. So part of the choice, though, is to make the choice for yourself, because there are no chosen people in the world except the self-choosing people. If you choose yourself, you are a chosen person. If you don't choose yourself, then somebody else is chosen. Thank you very much. Ms. Wilson, I guess I'm only here. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you, Dr.
No,
Simon.
I just want to say thank you very much for a wonderful session. Appreciate it.
And for all of the other questions that you have in there, you'll respond separately?
I don't know. Are there questions or a couple of questions I can answer?
You have several questions. You have one. Dr. Anderson writes, Joe noted we Africans need to be interconnected. What are some of the challenges to this goal?
Well, some of the challenges to the goal of us being interconnected is knowledge. I mean, the first one is knowledge. We just don't know. I mean, I'm tremendously surprised by the fact that, for example, we are not aware of each other's information. And when Thomas Sankara was president of Burkina Faso, he organized something that was called the Institute of the Black People, the Peuple Noir. And I was invited to this meeting along with several other of my colleagues and peers. And we went to Burkina Faso, to Ouagadougou for this. He had been killed, unfortunately, a few months earlier. And but they still had this meeting. And the Institute of the Black Peoples was sponsored by UNESCO. And its purpose was to have one place where information about the African world could be disseminated in many languages. For example, if the people in Brazil, you got 100 million Black people who live in Brazil. If those 100 million Black people who live in Brazil and who basically speak Portuguese, if those Black people wrote something, it ought to be sent then to the Institute in Ouagadougou, translated into other languages, and disseminated to the rest of the Black world. If people wrote something in English, sent to Ouagadougou, translated into other languages, and sent to the rest of the world. This was the idea that Thomas Sankara had. And unfortunately, truly unfortunately, after his death, the organization wasn't able to survive, but it was the dream. So part of it is, and what he wanted to do, if Black people are living, for example, we had a student to do a dissertation here at Temple on Afro-Mexicans, and she discovered that there are more than 200 villages, predominantly Black villages in Mexico,